Hello and a warm welcome to Translate Stars podcast, a podcast created by language professionals for language professionals. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Jan Hinrichs, who is the man behind the idea of LocLunch, this global hit that makes people meet to talk about localization, internalization, and the language industry in general. It's a very interesting person who shares very interesting views about the industry and the LocLunch itself. I hope you enjoy it. We are honored to have Jan Hinrichs today with us. First of all, we would like to thank you, Jan, for this opportunity to interview you and to know more about the projects you are working on. So, hello, how are you? How are you doing today?
Hola, Alfonso. Hello. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. Fine. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who still doesn't know who is Jan, Jan is the founder, among many other things, of Beluga Linguistics and the creator of LocLunch, which is this global hit that is present in over 90 cities in the world and 40 countries, where people interested in topics like localization, internationalization, globalization, translation, global brand management, marketing, sit together to talk and have lunch. Besides all this, just to introduce you a little bit, Jan holds a degree in business administration, and you are a specialist also in trade and commerce. You have funded a number of companies, and you have also, and this is very interesting for us, you have also had a career as a localization lead. And the first question is related to all this. I think that the most interesting topic will be the LocLunch. But first of all, we would like to know why or how does a person with business administration background decide to commit his entrepreneurial life to the translation and languages industry? Why did you decide to do that?
Okay, so Alfonso, so this is the story behind my going into translation was private life. Like many times, my wife is Spaniard, so I was. I had a university career, bilingual university career between Germany and Spain, and I tried to find Spain as a destination because my wife is from Spain, from Madrid, and so first of all, the university career was really like an accident because I was looking to do something in this direction. My family is. My father, my grandfathers have been all entrepreneurs and company holders, and so business administration was sort of natural fit, but it was also because it was possible to do it between Germany and Madrid. And now how I came, this was a bilingual career. So it was German and Spanish, 2 years in both countries. European Business Program, it's called. And so at that stage, I really found out that working with international people was something I really enjoyed, and I wanted to do later on. And during my career, I had to do internships. So I came to the company my brother founded, which is Sing, in 2003. And I started in 2004, January 2004, working with him. And he asked me to run Spain. Basically, like in all startups, it's like, hey, come on, we need cheap labor here. Go and do something about it, And inside OpenBC at that time, it was critical to roll out languages, and he tasked me to do the Spanish language and find the service provider for that. And so that turned out to be not so efficient, and we had a lot of problems. So because of understanding of the new workflows of SaaS service workflows, ongoing translation management, and so on, there was requirements that simply we couldn't find providers that did understand what we wanted to do. And we insourced it again and roll out 16 languages at Sing till 2006. Where we came to agreement with management of the company from my brother, and we outsourced ourselves and created Beluga in Spain, and then we could concentrate on rolling out like this kind of service in a much more professional way than in-house.
Wow. So you are one of the voices or the persons who could truly say that you have seen the birth of localization, as because before everybody talked about translation, but now we distinguish between localization, internationalization, and with the experience you are talking about, when the internet was, let's say, like beginning, not beginning, actually beginning, but year 2000. Not fully developed. So with a company like Xin, I think it must have been an experience that you had to learn by doing, right? Because, or did you have like language background as well, or did your family have any language companies or something like that? Or
no, nothing like that. I really came from the business side of point of view, and the relation with translation. My wife is a linguist.
Okay.
So she actually speaks several languages, and I think at one moment when we decided to build up Beluga, to start Beluga, she was like not so happy about the situation, her situation in the company, and so on, and she said, you know what, I will become a translator and do my translate. I can survive being a translator. So, and I said, okay, so being a translator is cool, but what do you think if we start a company in this area? We just make it a service, because I have a business degree, business experience, entrepreneurial spirit. So for me, starting a company was a solution, a better solution than going to work for somebody else. And and that's a little bit the story in 2006, where she said, hey, I want to become a translator, and I said, hey, I have a better idea. Let's create a company. and so we started. But as you correctly pointed out, so the world in 2004, 2006 was completely different, because at that time, what we call today translation management systems, cloud-based translation management systems, just did not exist. There was the world server system. Many of the older guys will remember. It was very, a system which was cool and going in the correct direction, but it was not handy for a startup, for a company like Sing, OpenBC Online, and very agile, was too clumsy and so on. So basically, they invented a translation tool in-house, which was surprisingly effective, and it was like basically what you see today, built in 2004. Wow. And but afterwards, in 2006, we saw us inventing translation editors again and again, and that was a really horrible experience, because it was not core business for nobody but us. And at the end, then 2007, we partnered with somebody from Web Translated as an editor. The person came from a client from us, and he started to say, I will create a service now. and can you help me build it up, and we said, yeah, no problem, we will help you, you help us. And so we have a basis to work on SaaS services, on social networks and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that was the early hours of TMS in this sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As you are saying, yeah, everything has changed. Well, everything is changing at like a very fast pace these days, and and the translation industry has changed a lot. I had one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I think is related to all this. How do you think it's going to impact this thing of the artificial intelligence, or how do you think it's impacting in the industry, in the language industry? I mean, how do you see the future of the language industry? Because some people who see it like this is the end of translators, or how do you say it? What's your view on that?
Yeah, so for me, it's looking back on why do we have translation. So translation and the scale of translation we are using today is basically because we were not able to create local content on scale. So, and we couldn't communicate with others on scale. So then we had this industry coming up, the whole translation industry, because we had broadband. We have as a broadcasting, so television, newspaper, international companies, like globalization with McDonald's and so on. Yeah. So all these marketing-driven internationalization had one serious problem, which was how do I communicate with all these new people out there? So and then if they would be able to create content natively, they would have done so. But this is not scalable. That was not scalable to create like offices in all the markets and have people creating one advertising after another for a local market. It was not, this is not efficient for a global organization. So we had one question here about, how can we match better headquarters and other market needs? And it goes in this direction. Basically, what if we could create content locally on scale, talking to you, Alfonso, and not to all people in Spain, all people in Germany or whatever, then we would do it, because cost is so high we couldn't do it. Now, where do I see the future and why AI is important? I think translation. We had machine translation. We have seen it. It grows. It gets better and better and better. But it's the same direction like translation. Yeah. So basically, you put machine translation as an output format on the same process, which is I create text in English and then I bring it into 60 languages. So with the translator, it's high quality. It's needed. You have all these contexts. Now you have machine translation, which is getting better day by day. Yeah. And you have the scale, but it's still depending on the source language. Yeah. So and what people say, if you write bullshit in English, then the target, if you have a good translator, of course, he will just say, no, I don't write that. But normally you will have the same sort of ideas in the target language. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think the big step forward and where really deep learning comes in is data-driven text generation. So this is called natural language generation. I've talked with a few people on LocLunches about that. It's something that's called robo-journalism right now. But I think with all the data coming up, 5G is coming. We have a massive explosion in users around the world in the next 6 years. We will have 100% coverage. So I think NLG will be very, very, very important.
Mm.
The role of the translator will change probably.
Yeah.
So we'll change from translating stuff towards educating and working with machine.
Yeah.
And working on syntax, on linguistics, on adaptation, on control stuff. And I think this is a massive change. There will be always translation, always, because this is not general. But the new tendencies, and I'm speaking about, I think, 4 years, we will see a massive growth in energy, which will have a massive change in the whole process of how we think in producing content.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. And actually, I think it's what you're saying is already happening. I mean, the role of translators somehow is changing, and we are now more supporting machines and machine translation or revising what machines have created. So I think it has already started. But yeah, I mean, it's just adapting. I think new jobs will be created, new opportunities, as you're saying. So
yeah, be agile. Also, look around and make sure that you understand what's going on technology-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very important for translators. It's very important for everybody working in this industry to understand that the future, near future, will be a life between machine and human, and we need to assist each other in many tasks.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I think we have covered because we also have questions from the social networks, from people on the social networks. I think as we have already talked about your career, we have covered the question by Tiziana Bottone in LinkedIn. So
Yes, thank you.
let's talk now about LocLunch because
Okay.
this is also a super interesting topic, and it's this world hit. I think people will say it has gone viral because it's amazing the success it's having. How did you come up with the idea of the LocLunch? I mean, how did you create it?
It was an accident. Like many startups, I think, are created by accident, sort of. So I was in Germany, in Hamburg last year, living there with my family 1 year off from Spain, Madrid, where we actually live. And so I came back to Hamburg, and where I had really just a few connections into the industry. Well, some translators that work with us, with Beluga, and Phrase is there, the TMS producer Phrase. And so, I tried to reach out to other people in the industry. I didn't know anybody from the other translation agencies and localization managers. I didn't know many, and so, I just wanted to know who they are in my hometown, and so we gathered a bunch of 4 of us in January 2019. And said, hey, let's have lunch, no, and there was a translator, 2 directors of LSPs, and one, the founder of Phrase. So that was like sort of, wow, this is our ecosystem almost, yeah. A project manager or a buyer side representative and a developer were missing, but that was really a good feeling, and we saw that, in our discussions, that we had so much things in common, even if, Tolingo, Jens Völker is a sort of competitor from Beluga.
Yeah.
But actually, at the end, we have more in common than that we are really competing against each other. I think what people don't see many times is that every company has a very unique DNA.
Yeah.
And if you are on the market like us for 14 years, then you have to have a clear line. So, and you have to work on your daily business to get better in what you do, what you add, how do you process things, and so when it comes to clients, I think many times it is really, it's not about price, it's about fit and long-term fit and what you look for and how do you feel with these other person to work with. And so we had more in common. We are working with the same systems, we see the same situations, and that was great. So I posted about it in LinkedIn, and there was quite a lot of people saying, "Hey, that sounds cool." And when do you come to wherever, to Amsterdam, to Barcelona, and so on? And of course, that was a moment where I can't be everywhere and not for lunch. It would be great, but so I suggested, why don't you start LocLunch in your own city? All you need to do is reach out to people, post here on LinkedIn, and say that's a LocLunch, and so from this point on, we were in Berlin, exactly your town, where you and Michele are ambassadors. So there was 12 people coming together just 2 weeks after my initial post.
Wow.
And that was lovely. Again, same situation, entrepreneurs, developers, LSPs, translators, everybody coming together, and just for lunch.
Yeah. Why do you think it has been so successful? I mean, what's the secret of the success of the idea?
I think it's simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just it's just lunch, nothing more, and it's just an opportunity. It should be a starting point for everybody who joins a LocLunch. A starting point to start new conversations, to learn something new, to give something to others, to help others to grow, and from that point you can have everything. You can have collaborations, you can have partnerships, companies, new employees. You can be hired by somebody. There's this infinity of possibilities.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And actually, we were talking before the interview, and what I was saying you that it's such a nice atmosphere. It's you feel relaxed, and you also disconnect from your daily working life, and it's nice to meet other professionals, other people from the industry, and and they open your mind. They share ideas or how they are doing things. So that's super interesting. And
exactly, and it's a low investment from your side. All you invest in LocLunch is really your time.
Yeah.
And your own food meal, the cost of your meal, and that's it. So, and it's just like we designed it as a lunch because it is a moment where once a month you meet experts from your industry in your town. You can connect with them, you can do networking with them, and you can supercharge your knowledge about many topics. NLG, for example, few people have heard of NLG today. Then how MT is used, how a translator feels about MT, how a buyer side representative challenge, whatever with developing or connections like with SmartLink or with translation tools all over the world. These are all melting points of local knowledge you normally get only on conferences.
Yeah, absolutely. We are getting to the end of the interview. I have two more questions related to the LocLunches. First one is, did you expect this to go global that fast or to be so successful? I mean, at the beginning, probably not, but after the second or third LocLunch, did you expect this to happen? And the second and last question related to LocLunch is, what is the future of LocLunch, or how do you see the future, or what do you have plans for the LocLunch to develop into something different, or?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mean, exponential growth is hard to predict, I think. So I was overwhelmed as well. And the onboarding process of new ambassadors is time consuming. So there's a lot of time invest in explaining, what it is, and actually to, make sure that the ambassadors who are becoming LocLunch ambassadors understand that this is not a sales tool. This is not another, way to do marketing. But it's really like more integral. So you need to open up a platform for discussion, and you are the responsible to enable connections. So by doing this, you will earn all the credits, all the trust, all everything. In the moment you put marketing on top and you want to be too aggressive to now I can capture whoever, clients, or the community will host you. So this is a process I try to be careful about in explaining people to come there. So that's time consuming, but I think it's doing pretty well. We are now almost 400 LocLunches since the beginning, as you said, in 90 cities in 40 countries around the world. And where do we go in terms of countries? I'm really super, convinced that India, Africa, and Asia must be included in LocLunch and must be there, because it's where most of the growth in the next 3-4 years will come from. So these are huge markets right now. India, it's supposedly English speaking, but that's not the reality. The reality is that they have states like in Europe with 60 million people speaking their own language. And there's no reason to believe that these people just want to speak English. So, and the same happens in Africa. So my goals for 2020 is bringing LocLunch there to be able to create this platform of LocLunches, which is sort of identity for these kind of things, and then work on top of that. I think one thing is important, that we get better in digital. So LocLunch needs to have a offline component and a digital component, which is right now LinkedIn, but it's very limited and many people miss out on announcements. So this is something we need to address, and I will have to think how we can approach this as a community with development of tools and pricing and costs. And so this is something we have to think about, everybody.
That's true. And well, let's finish the interview with the last question with from the social network. It's from Stephen Nock in LinkedIn, and he would like to know your perspective on a topic that is raising. Its headquarters and single market offices can sometimes be ignorant to other markets' needs. How can teams, and I think this is related to your experience, how can teams that focus on multiple markets gain support for localization, being part of the global company processes, especially in young organizations or startups?
Yeah. So what we have seen a lot in companies, young and old, is that people in-house have so many duties and so much like company life that sometimes it's hard to go out there. Many have problems to go to conferences, to get the funding for budget to go to conferences, to mix up. So I think, if you were asking me what I recommend 20 years old today, how he or she should approach the industry, I would definitely recommend go to a LocLunch, mix, no cost investment, and it's the easiest and most effective way to understand what's going on. And the same is true for headquarter people. So my wish is that that this business lunch once a month is recognized as an added value to your job.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then if you approach it like this, to be out of office 1.5 hours or eventually 2 hours, it's the best investment companies can do for their employees to get a broader understanding of internationalization of the ecosystem and to take decisions that really brings forward the whole company.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. The times I have attended the LocLunch, it has been great. I have learned from people sitting around me. So yeah, you always learn. It's as I was saying before, it's a really nice atmosphere. I think it's a great idea, Jan. So I congratulate you for having this idea as well as for the other many ideas that you have had, and I'm sure that many more that are to come.
I hope we can drive this together. Everybody in the community can invite people, and this is actually what helps spread knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to wrap up, I would like to thank you again for your time, for your wise words, and for your interesting views on the industry and the language industry. So thank you very much, Jan. I wish you the best, and I hope to talk to you soon again.
Thank you very much, Alfonso, for having me today.
Thank you. Bye, Jan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You have listened to Jan Hinrichs talking about LocLunch, the state of the industry, and how he sees the future of the industry. We hope you enjoyed the interview. We liked it a lot. The wise words by Jan. And we hope to have you in our next podcasts. Please, if you liked today's podcast or our other podcasts, follow us and give us 5 stars in iTunes. And please don't forget to visit our websites, www.translatestars.es or .it for Italian. And we hope to be with you in our next podcast.